I'm legally insane. And it's 2025, and I am still collecting retro games. I've been collecting retro games before collecting retro games even existed, before that terminology even existed. I was buying NES games when I was 14. Right? The Super Nintendo, probably PlayStation 1 was out, and I was going backwards to the NES games even back then. I bought a friend of mine, I bought his entire NES collection. Boxed NES set. Everything. Pennies on the dollar. I ripped him off good. But he didn't know he was getting ripped off. So, but also back then, heck, man, you could get this stuff for cheap. There was no internet back then, or at least nobody knew how to find out what the prices were worth. There was no market for this stuff. There was garage sales. That was the only way you could get rid of this stuff. And everyone thought it's worth, $5. I paid my friend $20, boxed, complete NES set, like 30 games, 4 controllers. He even had the satellite wireless what was it called? Fourscore or something? The satellite one, the wireless 4-player adapter. Man, this guy had everything. Oh, dang, did I screw him over. But like I said, at the time, that was normal. So I'm still collecting to this day, and I picked up a whole bunch of new games. So I picked up 15 games, but I took the OG Xbox games out for a different video. These all came from the same seller in one box. This is a great example of a typical box of games that I would purchase from a seller. Same seller, one giant box. Over $400 worth of games was in this box. I took out the Xbox ones though. Got to remember that. So there's 12 left. So let's find out what I got, why I picked up these games, and why you might be interested in also picking up some of these games or emulating some of these games. Because I guarantee you there's at least a couple of games in here that you didn't know about, or that you didn't know was a hidden gem. These are in no particular order. We're going to start off with a mint condition Blasto. PS1. Put your diaper on. You should have known from before I started to put a diaper on. I've wanted this game since 1998 when it came out. Oh, I'm having trouble getting it open. Oh, dang. This is a tight case. I don't know why it's jam-packed. Oh, dang. All right, well, Greg, man, I don't even think the previous owner even opened this. This thing's been stuck together since the 90s. Dang. Wow. Like, this is a holographic label. Freaking mint condition. I guarantee you the guy who owned this game didn't even take the manual out one time. This probably had one owner before I picked it up. This was actually developed and published by Sony. A lot of people don't know that. This is a Sony IP that, as far as I know, they completely abandoned. So I'm assuming that means it didn't sell very good. It's a third-person run and gun, third-person shooter, single player, and it's meant to be funny. It's not meant to be serious at all. What's it say at the back here? Action, adventure, beautiful, Blasto babes. Oh yeah, it's almost like some Duke Nukem humor, but more child-friendly. Duke Nukem's closer to rated R. Pretty sure they had nudity in one of the Duke Nukem games. I'm pretty sure. I think it was PC version only, though. So this game here, okay, I wanted this for a long time. I'd never played it. Never in my life have I played it. But I saw it in the rental stores. Roger's Video. I looked at the game probably 100 times. And I never got to pull the trigger on renting it. And when I saw it come up for sale, that triggered the old memories. Like, oh, dang, I remember that game. I wanted to play that game so bad. And it looks good. It looks like a good game. It's a high-quality game. Sony spent many years developing the game. It was in development for a long time. I paid $41 Canadian. Price charts for about $46. Okay, so I paid top dollar for it because I wanted it. Not everything, you don't need to get a deal for everything. If you want the game bad enough, you pay up whatever the best price you can get for it is. No tax, $41 on the button. Pretty good deal. All right, now we're going to start off with a frickin' gem. You guys know I like my Super Nintendo. This is Uncharted Waters number 2, New Horizon. The New Horizons or New Horizon? New Horizons with an S. Koei game, or Koei, however you say it. I've always said Koei. Koei game. But this, unlike the other Koei games, where it's the same game and they just change it a little bit, because it's all strategy games where you're developing towns and strategy RPG type of games. This is actually a unique game where it's its own game. They didn't copy anything other than Uncharted Waters number 1. And you have 6 different characters that you can play this game through. So that's 6 games in one, essentially. Because each character has their own storyline and their own play style. This is such a beautiful game. I can only imagine having this as a kid. I would have killed a man to have this. 6 different styles of gameplay. You have I wrote this down. You have an explorer. And if you choose the explorer, your end game objective is to find the city of Atlantis. You have a pirate. And if you're the pirate, you're going to be doing a lot of combat. So a lot of these different characters, you're not even going to be doing combat. You're exploring the world, managing your boat, managing your crew, making money, exploring the world. There's so many different things that you can do. Finding hidden places, finding hidden objects, trying to complete whatever your objective is. And some of them, if you're the pirate, some of them, you're going to be out killing people. And you're going to be doing combat. Or robbing other ships, right? And so there's a lot of variety. And I especially like that at my age now because I like relaxing games. I would like to play one of the characters where you don't do any combat. I'm excited for this one. This is a rare game too, by the way. I paid a lot of money for this game. I paid $86 Canadian, which is actually a really good deal because remember, no shipping, no taxes. $86. Oh, somebody else also paid $86, but they probably had to pay shipping and or taxes on top of that. So prices can fluctuate because it may not be including shipping, but somebody has paid as high as close to 150 Canadian dollars. Speaking of Super Nintendo, which is my favorite console and the most magical console of all time, there's something magical, undescribable about that 16-bit generation, especially the Super Nintendo. Its only competitor to this day is the Sega Genesis, which has a very similar charm to it, very similar magic that just cannot be replicated. Also picked up Robotrek, a very rare RPG by Enix before they merged with Squaresoft to create Square Enix. I paid $99 for this. It currently price charts for about 134 Canadian dollars. Once again, had that huge run up in 2020. Starting to level off. It's looking for a floor. If I were a betting man, I would say the floor is about 100 Canadian dollars or 100 US dollars even. It'll likely floor out there. Friggin' $160 clean version here. Look, see, that's the thing. If you have a clean version, like if you have a really good condition label, good condition cart, don't be afraid to charge a premium because there's people out there that are going to pay it. $157. But the reason it's not cheap is because it didn't sell very well. And on top of that, it's a JRPG. During the golden age of RPGs, it got very mixed reviews, mostly poor reviews. It's not a serious storyline. It's not a serious plot. It was targeted toward kids at the time. It's meant to be funny. humorous. Here's the beauty of it, though. It has unique elements that I haven't seen in other games, where you have 3 robots and you can fully customize the robots. 100% customize. We're talking equipment, stats, special abilities, everything. I mean, when I say fully customizable, I'm meaning you can put 0 defense on your robot, one of your robots, and put all your points into attack power, special attacks, whatever you want. It's that customizable. You can have basically 0 attack and have pure and be the biggest tank in the game. Just take like 1 damage from all enemies. Your attack power is going to suck though, right? But you can do that. You specialize. You do whatever you want. The game allows that. And another interesting thing is that, as far as I know, this came out before Pokemon was invented, as far as I know. And this game, you battle just like Pokemon. Your robots are your Pokemon. I am always on the hunt for Super Nintendo games that I don't currently have. There's so many gems on that console. It's unbelievable, but a lot of them are really expensive. Harvest Moon, I sold that for $50 to my cousins back in the day. Complete in box. $50. And by the way, back then I ripped them off. I felt terrible about it after. Like after I sold it to them, I actually felt really bad because I knew it was a ripoff. I didn't even pay $50 for it. They really liked the game and they really wanted to purchase it from me. So I decided, okay. Well, if I'm going to sell it, because I didn't necessarily want to sell it, I'm going to charge you $50. And of course, nowadays, that's complete in box. So, Greg, what's that going for, like 1,000 or more? I mean, who knows? Not cheap, though. Next up, I picked up Ultimate Muscle. Camera does not want to pick that up. For the Game Boy Advance. And to be honest with you, I had really no idea what this would be. I'm aware of Ultimate Muscle on the GameCube. It's a wrestling game, and it's an incredibly unique, incredibly expensive. Price is still going up to this day. Rare wrestling, like anime-style wrestling game. Based on an anime. And you fight like you do in the anime. It's really interesting. So I picked this one up just without even looking at the gameplay. I just knew I wanted it. And what did I pay? I paid a good amount, I think. $16 Canadian. Like, I didn't even look at the chart when I bought it. I just bid. Okay, I just bid. But the chart looks good. Price has been going up basically ever since 2012. When you could have got this for $1.75. This chart is in US dollars, by the way, Canadian dollars down here. So I paid $16, the price charts for $27. Sold listings averaging about $30-$35. So not bad. Chart looks good. I don't plan to sell it. I will keep it, and it will likely go to $100, given enough time. When I looked up gameplay, it didn't look all that great, to be honest. But there is a 2-player mode where you can get the link cable. So I would love to try it on 2-player one day and wrestle a buddy. That'd be pretty cool. Speaking of handhelds, I also got oh crap. Oh, I lost it. I lost the game. It was a DS game. Alright, I found it. It slid across the floor. It's called Dimension. Camera is not going to pick that up, but that is what it's called. I got a really good deal. I paid 20 Canadian dollars. That's part of the reason I got it, but I also got it because it's a horror game. And what do we know about horror games? Most horror games go up in value over time, the good ones. Or the hidden gems, the low print run horror games. They do quite well. I'm not a DS guy. I only dabble in the handhelds, and this one intrigued me enough to check it out. It's a first-person shooter horror game. It's not really anything fancy. I think it's probably average at best. And the chart looked good. Chart looks great, just like Ultimate Muscle. I mean, that's a straight line up. Slow and steady since 2012. 2013. I guess it bottomed in 2013. $5.99. Now you're paying $40 US. You could have paid $5.99 for it, but once again, nobody wants games when they're cheap. What I really want, though, so I'm not a handheld guy, but there's a lot of RPGs on the DS. So many crazy RPGs. I was looking at one earlier, Infinite Space, I think it was called, Sega game. Oh, dang, and frig, that game's expensive. But there's really unique RPGs on the DS. If you're a big RPG fanatic, start looking at games on the DS. Because they ain't getting cheaper. They ain't getting any cheaper. The long-term trend will continue to go up. So if you want a game, you might want to, and you have the disposable income, like don't mortgage the house. Don't be getting payday loans to buy video games. I mean, you can if you want. I'm not going to stop you, but I wouldn't recommend it. Next up, I got Transformers Fall of Cybertron PS3. Mint condition CD. Pretty good condition case. I got steal of a deal on this one, which is part of the reason why I got it, because I already own it. Paid $35 Canadian. Price charts for $71 and climbing. And what's interesting about this game is usually PS3 games are worth more than the 360 version of the same game. Usually. That trend has changed for certain games. And this is one of them. The 360 version currently price charts for close to $100. It's still going up. But this is a game, this is the best, arguably the best Transformers game made to this very day. They perfected the gameplay because this was the direct sequel to War for Cybertron. The direct sequel. And in War for Cybertron, they were starting to get good. The game was starting to get good, but it still wasn't as good as it should be or could be. And it seems like they finally perfected the gameplay and actually made the first really good Transformers game with this version. Oh, dang, look, even War for Cybertron's worth a freaking fortune. Holy, I did not expect that. 107 Canadian dollars on the 360 version. 91 and climbing on the PS3? That's insane. War for Cybertron is not as good as Fall of Cybertron. But you know what? I guess that makes sense because if you're going to own one, you're going to want both of them. So that sort of makes sense. Okay, what else did I got? I got to fly through these, man. This is taking too long. Time Splitters 2, PS2. To be honest with you, I kind of regretted buying this, but I did get a good deal on it, and I might be able to sell it for profit. And the only reason I regret it is not that I don't like Time Splitters. Time Splitters is great. The problem is I would rather have the GameCube version. So I've decided I don't necessarily want to keep this one anymore. So what did I pay for Time Splitters? I paid $15 CIB. That's not too bad. Price charts for $30.08. Nothing fancy going on with the chart, so I won't bother telling you. Oh, it's a first-person shooter. A very popular game, especially back in the PS2 GameCube era. Time Splitters was very popular. It was also a popular multiplayer game. You can do four-player GoldenEye style multiplayer. But other than that, yeah, I mean, I'm just not interested in the PS2 version. I would rather have GameCube. Oh, here's an interesting gem. Holy heck, guys. This is SmackDown vs. Raw 2011, and the untrained eye, this is limited edition, the untrained eye looks at wrestling games of the 360 PS3 era and immediately says, well, that game's worthless. What's that worth? $5? If that? Who's going to buy that? Old wrestling game? 2011? What a piece of crap that must be. Well, yeah, that's why I said untrained eye. That's why I said untrained. Because you just might be retarded. You ever think about that? Have you ever looked in the mirror? Serious question. And said, look at yourself in the mirror. Talk to yourself. And look yourself dead in the eye. Look into your own eyes and ask yourself, am I retarded? Just try it. Just try it. You'd be amazed what you might find out. Because guess what? A lot of the old wrestling games are worth a lot of money. Even SmackDown vs. Raw 2007, for whatever reason, is going for 46 Canadian dollars price charting. Hell, every single one is worth money except for 2009 and 2010 are the least popular, but they ain't no $5 games like you would have expected. And then there's SmackDown vs. Raw regular edition, but there's also a limited edition. The limited edition is priced starting for close to $50. Now that doesn't mean you'll get $50. I want to point that out too. See? $31 sold listings. So you're not actually going to necessarily get $50. But hell, this guy over here, he got 41. That ain't bad. $42 down here, just about $50 over here. It fluctuates heavily. And it's going to depend if you have the insert or not as well. I actually don't remember if this version has the insert. It does not, unfortunately. But it does have the official WWE sticker, which is also going to increase the value because some people case swap it. This is going to be I already have this game, but this is a better condition copy than the one that I have. And I paid $10 for this, by the way, 10 Canadian dollars. So I got it as a condition upgrade, and also I can sell it. I just want to give you an example. I'm browsing Canadian eBay right now, so if you were a Canadian buyer, this is the prices that you have available to you. So these are UK versions, they don't count. Here's a limited edition copy, not CIB, $31.25. Ignore it, not CIB. Not CIB. The first and cheapest CIB copy is $35 with shipping, $5 shipping. Pretty good price. Like, this game ain't cheap. Limited edition. This is equivalent to what I have right now. So I would come in, if I wanted a quick sale, I would undercut this guy by 50 cents. Don't sleep on these wrestling games. Do not sleep on the wrestling games. So many people, they sleep on them. That's why I'm able to pick that up for $10. Next, I got my 6th or 7th or 8th copy of Mario Kart. I keep finding this one. Every time I find it, I'm gonna keep collecting them. I haven't even sold any of the other ones yet. I'm gonna create a friggin' army of 100 of these. I don't even care, man. Some people always complain, how come you have 10 copies of one game? Because I can. That's why. I can have 10 copies. You wish you could have 10 copies. I paid $20 for this. This sells $40 on eBay all day. All day. You wish you had 10 copies. You wish you could sell 10 copies for easy money profit. You wish you could fill a shelf of 10 copies of Fire Striker for the Super Nintendo, which I was going for once. Used to have 5 copies. I had to sell them because I needed the shelf space and I needed the money for other games. You wish you could have 10 copies of Little Samson, but you don't. But you wish you could. You wish you did. I mean, maybe it's just me, but I've always wanted 10 copies of one game. Hell, this might be the first one that I actually hit 10 copies. It's not the one that I want 10 copies of, but it might be the first one that I get 10 copies of. Okay, next up, oh, this is a gem. NBA Jam. Damn. That's a good game, man. I never played it though. I never played it. But here's the thing. I might not have played it, but I've wanted to play it since it came out. This was a talk of the town game, actually. I remember when this came out, it was supposed to be the major revival of the NBA Jam franchise. Okay, because you got to understand, when NBA Jam, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis came out, arcade came out, NBA Jam was king of the world. It was the king of the NBA games. It was the king of the basketball games. The basketball kids loved it, and the non-basketball kids loved it. The nerds loved it. See, typically, the basketball kids would only be getting your NBA Live, your whatever the NBA games were. Nobody cared about those. Us nerds, we didn't want those games. But when NBA Jam came out, it would change things because it's an arcade game. It's an arcade style. And when this game came out, it was like they were finally properly reviving the franchise. In fact, I'll prove it just based on the cover alone. Classic arcade hoops reignited, meaning they're trying to trigger the same vibe that the original got. And also at the back, it says Tim Kitzrow, if I'm saying that right, the original voice of NBA Jam returns with all of his classic catchphrases at the back. So they're really going back to the roots. They tried to really get this thing going. I don't think they were successful, but they tried. And I remember talking with friends about this game back when it came out, and we all wanted to try it. None of us actually ended up buying it. But we were talking about it like, oh, did you hear that they got a new NBA Jam out? They got a new NBA Jam. Yeah, that sounds really good. And we would talk about it, but none of us ever got to play it. Never rented it. But we talked about it. What did I pay for that? Paid $18. So I paid a pretty penny. I paid a lot of money. Chart don't look too bad. Very, very slow uptrend. Nothing too fancy going on. The official bottom was 2019, just like most games did bottom. It's a, wild swings, but the trend is clearly up. Higher highs and higher lows. That's what it's doing. Even right here, I bet you this is a higher high. 2240 versus 2299. That's a higher high, buddy. Look at this. Higher low. Previous low, 1509. Current low, 1759. Don't sleep on NBA Jam. Okay, next up we got two games. I'm going to go through them both at the same time because I bought them together. Package deal. Biggs and Biggs 2. And you're probably wondering, why the heck did you buy a sports game? Have you lost your damn mind? Biggs 2 CIB. Pretty good condition cases, other than the stickers, of course. And the answer is, obviously, yes, I have lost my mind. Lost that a long time ago, buddy. That's nothing new. You lost your mind. I lost my mind 20 years ago. I still remember the day. The day when it started to go downhill. Oh, yeah. I'm going to save that story for another day, though. So, 2 sports games. What do you think these are worth? But more importantly, the reason I got them, they're Sega 2K sports games, by the way. I didn't even realize that. Because I didn't care for that. I got both of these games because guess what? I heard the word on the street is, and I'm not kidding when I say this, the word on the street is, these are the best baseball games ever made. That's what I'm hearing. Especially Biggs 2. I got them both just cause, why not? If they truly are the best baseball games ever made, then I want both of them. Even if number 2 is better. And I paid good money. I paid $5 for Biggs 1, Canadian, CIB, and $7 for Biggs 2. But obviously I got a deal. If I didn't get a deal, I wouldn't be paying big money for a sports game. So Biggs 1 price charts for $14.35, so $15. And Biggs 2 is about $20.99. Biggs 2 is pretty wild swings. Like, it's on a little bit of a downtrend right now. But this is really expensive for a sports game. These are not cheap, and some of them sell for high prices. $28.69 up here. $20, $20, $20, $20 all day. Once in a blue moon, you'll get a $30+ sale. A lot of copies sold in December. This thing sells like hotcakes all day, especially in December. So there's no shortage of demand. Like, people want this baseball game. It's obviously not rare, but it's rare. Well, no, it's not rare at all. But the demand is high enough that a sports game is selling for $20. And you can probably find this at a pawn shop that doesn't know what they're doing for, $5, right? What's number one doing? Number one. A little bit more noticeable on number one that there is a very slight uptrend. But yeah, $6 in 2020 and up. I don't know what the percentage is on that. What, 66% maybe? $10 today. Very interesting. Let's switch over to USD. $10 USD, and Biggs 2 is 15 USD. So hey man, that ain't cheap for a baseball game. And like I said, I got it. I'm not that big into baseball. I have Ken Griffey Jr. for Super Nintendo, number 1 and 2. Winning Run is number 2. Winning Run is not as good. I would not even recommend Ken Griffey Jr. Winning Run. I don't even recommend it. And I also have Ken Griffey for N64. The only baseball games I will ever purchase is Ken Griffey. That's it. But now, for the first time in my life, I found 2 new baseball games. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. I'm trying to get to over 9,000 subscribers. And I've decided, I came up with an idea yesterday. When we get to over 9,000 subscribers, I'm going to have a over 9,000 subscriber special, and I will show my entire Super Nintendo collection. Every single game. I'd like to give a quick shout out to my Patreon supporters, William, Chocolate Thunder, and Trevor. Your support means a lot, helps keep this channel going, and I'll see you again next week.